Guys, listen to me. I'm from the future. Humanity is about to go extinct. Society is about to collapse. But we can fix this. Or rather, you can fix this. You can put an end to this wretched nightmare that we're living in. All you have to do is not give the new Taylor Swift album a 7.2. Should we as a music community stop giving numerical scores to music? Yeah. Now you might think this is some veiled call out to some bigger authority in music, but it is not. There is nothing more embarrassing than starting drama with people online. And to be clear, music reviews as a whole, I have no issue with those. And if we want to talk about their place in the world today and if they're really necessary for our discourse, we can have that conversation at some point, but it's a messier one than the one I want to have here. I'm talking today about ratings, number ratings, star ratings, thumbs ups. Everyone's tried it at some point. Music ratings have existed in some way for decades. Legend has it the first time music was ever scored was back in the caveman days. One caveman hit rocks with bones to a rhythm. Another heard it and said, 6 out of 10, the mixing just feels off to me. In my mind, there's two kinds of rating music that we can talk about. The first is personal ratings. I would be willing to bet that everyone who has engaged with music for an extended period of time has had their own rating system at some point. Maybe it's for cataloging the music you listen to, maybe it's for developing a taste for a certain genre, maybe it's just to find out what you do and don't like when you listen to music. Is there an auto pan shaker somewhere in this song, and what emotion is that shaker making me feel? Rating music for your own personal reasons is fine. I think. Like, that's not hurting anybody on its own. It's not going against the Geneva Convention. If that's how you personally enjoy music, go nuts. The issues come up, in my opinion, when those rating systems start getting out to more and more people. Because even if two people with similar rating systems listen to the same music, they are going to hear it and interpret it in different ways because they are different people. You might hear that auto pan shaker and feel happiness, but another person might feel tremendous fear because they too know what they are capable of. And when those rating systems start getting to more and more people, there comes the risk of personalities clashing. Agreeable differences between people's musical preferences start getting more passionate, and in the worst cases, they get angry as people try to make sure their voice is heard. Because why do we join communities in the first place? It's to feel like we belong, to be validated in our interests, and maybe even to be admired as a cool dude. Are the people who obsess over ratings the only people in this space? Probably not. In fact, I'd be willing to bet they're a pretty small minority. However, they are the loudest and the most visible. We must also remember that most discussions about music these days happen on places like Twitter and TikTok. Look, I'm sure there have been open-minded and friendly conversations on those apps at some point in their histories, but they are not built for that. They are built to maximize engagement, which often translates to pissing as many people off as possible. I think this impacts music discourse in two ways. First is gatekeeping, the atmosphere created, the little decisions that make a space welcoming to all or keep them at arm's length. When new people also get into music and want to discover new things and talk with people about it, they might see the unwelcoming vibe on the surface and stay away. They might not want to get into it. I'm sure if they were to get into it, they would eventually find like-minded people who like having rational conversations about music, but for them, maybe it's not worth trudging through all the muck. Second, I think scores do a disservice to music criticism. Like I mentioned before, I think music reviews still have a place in our world. Good music criticism is about taking in a piece of music, interpreting it through your own experience and perspective, and then sharing that with the world. When it's done well, people get to enjoy music on a brand new level in a way that they may not have been able to if they had not heard your perspective. These days, though, you ask most people what comes to mind when they think music review, they'll probably mention, if not fixate on, the number. Here's the thing. Ogres are like onions, and humans are like water. Onion water. We follow the path of least resistance. When flowing water encounters an obstacle like a rock, it will still take the path of least resistance. It will not try to move through the rock. It will not try to move over the rock. It will gravitate towards the least difficult option available to it at that time. So let's adapt that idea to music reviews. What are most people going to pay attention to? A review that takes a few minutes to read or watch. Maybe it's something we agree with and we enjoy, but maybe it isn't. Maybe it's not all that personally fulfilling for us. There's a chance that it could go either way. Or the big number that more or less gets the point across in less than a second. I think I know where people's attention is going. If you want proof of this, just go look where the people are. I said before this was not an attempt to cause a huge drama with any bigger music authorities, so allow me to speak honestly and respectfully about them. Rate Your Music. I don't use this site personally. If I was a few years younger, maybe I would be more into it. It's the same reason I don't use Last.fm and I don't know what a Scrabble is. Even though I'm not a part of it though, I've seen people complain about this site, how it turns some users into number-obsessed, rating-obsessed, gribbly groblins. However, I've also seen people who respond to that by saying, actually, it's a good site if you focus more on cataloging and niches and finding those new records that you may not have heard about otherwise. This is a good resource to have as long as you don't look at the rating part of it. I don't want the irony there to pass you by, so I'm just gonna state it outright. They're saying Rate Your Music is fine as long as you don't rate your music. You want more proof of this? Try to find someone berating a Pitchfork review without mentioning the number. Try to find somebody bashing one of Anthony Fantano's reviews without using a screen grab that looks like this. Transforming how we talk about music means we have to first be honest with ourselves about how music is discussed. Scores. Top fives, sales metrics, these numerical approaches to music discourse, they're just sports. Music discourse today is basically sports. I think it's easier to talk about music in those ways because talking about just the music is actually kind of difficult. In order to talk about music authentically, you need to talk about the emotion that it makes you feel. And talking about how you feel is a vulnerable thing to do. It's those kinds of vulnerable conversations that make sharing music so rewarding. However, they also open you up to snide comments from Sussy Chungus 6000. Who I thought I blocked last year. These numbers make it easier not just to prove that our favorite artists are good, but that by extension, we are also good. Because if your favorite artist is doing well, that feels like a reward for your investment in them, for connecting with them and their music. Now, I understand at this point that some of this may be coming across as old man yells at cloud. I am 28 years old as I film this video. In internet years, that means that I am a withered old man who grinds his bones to make his bread and then goes to the bread store to exchange the bread for more bones. But the truth is, I used to be there. I got into music when I was in high school and college, and the music I listened to back then was strongly tied to my sense of self. I personally felt that if I listened to the best music and I talked about the best music, then in turn, I would be the best music. When you get into film, you want to watch the best films. When you get into gaming, you want to play the best games. Music is the same way. Did I try to find legally acquired copies of the albums featured on Pitchfork decade lists, or the ones that were given a 10 by Fantano, or the ones that were on that one topster of all the Mew essentials? Yeah. I had to start from somewhere. Everybody's got to start from somewhere. Those experiences kickstarted my love for music, but they are no longer the ones that define my love for music. In recent years, my love for music has been defined by talking with people face to face, even if they don't know what the Weezer is, and learning more about their perspectives on music.
Tell me what is your favorite, because you learn so much from people. You get contact. Oh, I have memories attached to it. My brother did this when I was young, this and that, did that. Track 7, he talks about this. Found out I was going through it. Like, I want to hear that. I don't care about no objective.
Okay, so what if we did stop rating music? I mean, some people have already stopped. Rolling Stone stopped giving star ratings to music. Some folks on YouTube have stopped giving scores. Back when I did album reviews, I never scored albums in the first place, except for one time, but that's because it didn't sync up with Shrek, so that's gotta be understandable. People who like to have their own personal rating systems can still have them, but maybe there are things we can do as a community to change what the path of least resistance is. And we don't have to put too much stock in how the numbers make us feel. Instead, we can talk about how the music makes us feel. Would that be a bummer to the people who like to debate and discuss music using numbers? Maybe, sure. But if the numbers were more important to them than the music, I guess I just said it. So what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I missing something? Is my existence a light one? Let me know down below.